Hi, this is Mike with OPST. We're on the river today. We're searching new water. We're not using your traditional commando heads like we do all the time, like a lot of you that are going through rivers and on foot or in a boat. We're nymphing. We got our indicator rig, we got our nymphs on. One thing we wanted to show you is we come into a hole like we're in now. When we walked up to this spot, there's a nice deep run. I want to throw a streamer in there before I nymph it, because you don't want to throw streamers after you nymph. The first thing you want to do is throw streamers, find that most aggressive fish and get it to eat. Good takes. A lot of guys will carry a second rod just for throwing big streamers or medium streamers, but with a sing tip. Our D2s are a cool way to bridge that gap without having to carry a second rod, which when you're walking on foot, I got a fanny pack here on the ground. That's what I'm carrying. I got a drink of water, and as light as I can be is the best, because like you said, you're going to burn energy. You're on foot. You're limited to what you're going to have. So one of the things we talked about before with steelhead fishing, with changing your tips, is making a big loop. So in the trout game, same thing. Instead of making a little tiny loop, make your loop big enough that it can pass your gear through it. Like this one's big enough that it'll even pass my indicator through it. And all I got to do to make a change out is, again, pass an indicator through, and I'm going to feed it up. Be careful right in here so you don't get tangled with, because you're running droppers. But just pull this thing through. If you get tangled, don't yank it through. Just work your way out of it. Which there's a little line tangle there. Oops. There it goes. Your first dropper, then your second one. I'm going to set this down by my pack. Indicator is still attached. Everything, so that leader's ready to go back to nymphing. So then I get my D2. I have one in my pocket, no leader on it, and the reason why, so I'm going to loop this on real quick. That's the easiest way to do it. But one of the advantages of having no leader, I'll show you here in just a second. But loop this right on. This is my weight forward floating line. I'm using a 10-foot 4-weight. So this particular rod, I have a true to line size. This has a 5-weight line on it. Got my D2 looped on now. And in my other pocket, I pulled out already, but I already have a fly rigged. Already has a leader. Same thing. I have a big loop, big enough to pass my fly through. And you do exactly the same thing in reverse order. So big loop goes through, and then take your fly and just stick it through your loop. Take your time on there, make sure you get it in clean. Make sure your loop turns over, push it over with your hand so it's over the line. You get your loop-to-loop connection, and just that fast, now I have a streamer. I got a sing tip on, and I can go enter this hole, throw a streamer all the way down through it. I can leave my pack right here, and then hopefully catch a couple fish. And then when I'm done, I can come back here, I can take my leader off, take my D2 off, and then go back and put my long leader on with my nymph rig. Super cool way to do it if you guys haven't done that before, because like I said, it's a super way to add a sing tip to your existing floating line that you're already nymphing with. And all I did was make my loop bigger on my leader that passes my indicator and all that. And the same thing here, which we did a little video earlier with steelhead, is how easy you can change flies or change tips without changing your fly, so you don't have to tie your fly on every time, just the one time. So now we're in the run. You can see the hole here. I have my D2 on. I have a little sculpin pattern on with some heavy weighted eyes. Basically, it's your weight forward floating line. You won't even know that D2's on. It casts that clean. You can min through here, let it sink, swing it down like you would normally do if you had your commando head on, strip it back to you. Or if you want, you can just bomb the bank and hit the other side and just start stripping like you would do with an aggressive fish. And you're gonna take your steps down and you're just gonna work it. You can take these, you can roll cast them still, dump it out, feed it in the seam, let it sink, swing it along, strip it back, try to find that aggressive fish before you come through here and nymph. You want that hot fish that's the most aggressive. This is how to get them. You don't want to nymph through a run and then try to swing through it or strip through it. Fish the far bank, strip it back. And you're just gonna step down the run this way and Same thing, toss it up, make your cast. Like I said, it's smooth, it's clean. You won't even notice the tip is on there. It doesn't affect the way the line casts. It still casts really pretty. And I can swing my fly through here real slow as it gets deeper through here. At the end, I can just take it and I can strip right back in. And if you're fishing a cut bank or fishing something close to you, you can strip these all the way back into you like you would have if you were set up with a sing tip. There was a dedicated rod. And then when you go back out, same thing. Gonna go back out, bomb a cast to the other side. You can throw some mins in there if you want to get deeper. You can put some twitches in it and strip it back. But I think you'll find these D2 tips are really, really awesome for this exact purpose. And it'll eliminate you from, especially if you're hiking in like we are, it'll eliminate you from having to carry a second rod especially when you're exploring, you don't know what exactly they're eating on or what is a good hole, if there is gonna be a good hole. Sometimes you'll carry a dedicated rod and it'll never lay out into water that you want to like just swing and cast and strip flies to. But with this option right here, you have it in your pocket at all times. So you're not going, oh man, I wish that I brought my streamer rod, because you instantly make your nymph rod a streamer rod. I think you guys will really like this, and I think it's worth a try. And like I said, if you're a lot of guys in Montana and Idaho and even here in Washington, we're hiking streams, we're covering a lot of water, and we're trying to do it as a minimalist because carrying weight is not much fun, and carrying an extra rod isn't much fun either, especially if you're fishing, because there's all this water above us and below that we're literally just going to nymph through really, really fast and not stop until we come into a spot like this. And you wouldn't be able to fish that water if you had a second streamer rod, because you'd have that other rod in your hand, or you'd be putting it in your back or trying to strap it to you, and then when you got to go through the woods, you're getting stuck, and it's just a pain for something that if you're not dedicated to streamer fishing the whole day, it's kind of really tough to even bring around. So if you're dedicated to streamer, then you can fish a streamer. But if you just want to do it in a couple holes on the way or have it just in case, try these D2s. These are the T6s that I'm using now. We're fishing a fairly shallow river. We make the T8s also with a little faster sink. There's 3 sink rates in them. This is the 6 feet of T6 with 2 feet of floating. That's my good starting point. If you wanted something a little shallower, you can go down to a 4x4, or if you get into a big hole and you want to dredge and get way down, we have the full 8 foot of T8 or T6, and it gives you lots of options with one rod, and gives you the ability to go on these big hikes and not worry about having too much stuff.